Good morning. As more and more wildlife photographers begin to dabble in wildlife videography, I hear the question asked more and more, when do you focus on photos versus when do you focus on video? This is something we've touched on just briefly previously on the channel, so today I wanted to run through some of the most common scenarios when I choose one over the other. I'll do this by using some real-life examples from some recent adventures. Ideally, we would have enough time with whatever wildlife we're photographing to get both photos and video, but this usually isn't the case. So let's look at some of these scenarios that might help you choose one over the other. Let's get into it. I have flip-flopped so many times over the years in my work, one month choosing to prioritize photos, the next month choosing to prioritize video. Finally, I settled on prioritizing photos. I only say this to preface today's video. I'll be approaching these scenarios and examples as a photographer who prioritizes photos, choosing when to switch to video. Your priorities may vary, and I would love to hear about them in the comments. When do you choose one over the other? Let's start off today by talking about light. I've got a couple of scenarios here in which I'll choose to switch from photo to shooting video. Let's start off with the most basic, when there's simply not enough light to work with. When shooting video, you want to make sure that your shutter speed is approximately double your frame rate. Because of this, you're rarely shooting at high shutter speeds like we tend to do when capturing stills. Due to these lower shutter speed requirements, I like to start off earlier in the morning shooting video when there's just not enough light to get those action-stopping shutter speeds that you need when shooting photo. I do the same thing after the best light has passed in the evening, as well as any other low light situations you may encounter. Recently, while photographing a great gray owl deep in the forest, I chose to shoot video rather than photos due to the low light conditions. I was able to record its movements at an ISO of 2500. Had I been shooting photo with a shutter speed high enough for sharp images, my ISO would have been 12,800. So when I don't have sufficient light for sharp photos, I like to default to shooting video. Another light situation in which I choose to shoot video over photo is when the light is really harsh. Some camera models may be different, but many times you have a higher dynamic range when shooting video over photo. This comes with increased editing capabilities in post-production, allowing you more control over the end result. This has been the case for nearly every camera that I've used for both photo and video. So when I encounter a harsh light situation like I did recently on a sunny afternoon on Alaska's vast tundra, I'll revert to shooting video over photos. The results usually come out better by doing this. The next set of scenarios when I choose video over still images are all based on the behavior of the wildlife that I'm spending time with. I love all wildlife, and you know I'd be content and happy just sitting with the bear watching it sleep on the tundra all day long. But if we're being honest, there are definitely some behaviors that are simply more exciting to photograph than others. Recently, while in Brazil's wild Pantanal, I was able to photograph a stunning jaguar while it rested and cleaned itself. I'm not saying that taking a photo of this behavior is boring or shouldn't be done, simply that, in my opinion, it's more interesting in video form. There are a lot of animal behaviors that simply translate better into video form rather than a still image. While the images are neat, it can sometimes be difficult to tell what's happening where a video will allow you to see exactly what's going on. This brings us to our next point. I prefer to shoot video over photo when the behavior that I'm seeing can't adequately be portrayed with a single image. Heading back to the Pantanal in Brazil, I recently had the privilege to see a pair of jaguars mating. After mating, the male and female jaguars had a brief tussle. This interaction looked really cool in image form, but if you only saw one image, you wouldn't really know what was going on. This behavior or story is more easily shown as a short video clip. Come join me in Brazil's vast Pantanal as we search for regal jaguars and the other plentiful wildlife that inhabit the area. Our full days on the boat provide countless opportunities for photography, with enough room for you and all your essential camera gear. Our guides are the best of the best, and they know just where to go to get us the best shots possible. Return at the end of each day to a wonderful meal at our clean and comfortable lodge and all of the accommodations. Electricity, Wi-Fi, hot showers, and plentiful wildlife around the lodge itself. I have multiple trip options available, so hit the link in the description below, choose which option works best for you, and join me in this breathtaking wilderness. Let's get back to it. The goal of most wildlife photographers is to have a clean view of your subject, unobstructed by sticks, grass, or other obstacles. Don't get me wrong, there are times when these elements can add to a more creative image, but for the most part, when dealing with minor obstructions, I prefer to shoot video. In a still image, these obstructions become blatantly obvious and can be very distracting. In a video, on the other hand, especially if your subject is moving, the viewer's attention is drawn to the moving subject rather than the obstacles that come in between your camera. If you haven't caught on by now on this channel, I am very goal-oriented in my photography and in life in general. If I photographed a subject or a scenario and I'm content with the resulting images, I'll then make a goal to capture that same or similar behavior in video format. I'm not saying that you have to do the same, simply that having a goal that you're working towards can really help you determine when to shoot photo versus when to shoot video. We've all heard that it's generally best to photograph your subject at eye level. Well, the same can be said about wildlife videography. But much like other scenarios we've run through today, you have a little bit more wiggle room when working with video in this particular case. Similar to our point about minor obstructions in front of your subject, the same can be said about not shooting at eye level. Because your attention is drawn to a moving subject, the angle at which you are filming that subject isn't as noticeable or doesn't appear as awkward as it would in a still image. If you want to learn more about when not to shoot at eye level to make your image or video clip more compelling or engaging to look at, check this video out right here. Thank you so much for following along today. I have some really exciting adventures that I'm so excited to share with you here shortly, so stay tuned soon for those. Thanks again for following along. We'll see you next time.